setting the mood right now. Get ready for the day. It's the beginning of the day. What time is it? 8:30. So today, we've got a list of people we need to talk to. Every day when we start the day, there's usually going to be a list of people that are return calls, and then there's going to be client calls and agents that have sent in offers. Then we're going to try to talk to people we know, try to talk to some people that we don't know. That's the day. All right, so today we're in the call log section of the day, right? So I'm going to be making calls here. They're going to have a couple eggs. Then we're going to make some more calls for 2 hours here. We'll have a shake. Got a little bit of workout from 1:30 to 2:30. I've got some seller calls to make, and then we have a listing appointment at 4:30. Oh, hi Kristen. This is David Van Noy calling from ReeceNichols. Very good, very good. So I saw the home listed for sale by owner. If it's off the market, well, I'm a broker, but I don't act as a broker, so I don't manage other people. I just manage myself. It's a good distinction to make. In the process of prospecting, right, you're going to talk to all different kinds of people, and you never know where they're going to be at in their lives. 9 o'clock in the morning, they could be waking up. They could have been up for 5 hours. Typically, someone's home's either coming off the market, meaning it didn't sell, or they're firing another agent, or they've decided maybe I don't want to sell because I didn't get the result I want. When that happens, all different types of emotions can happen at that point. Most of them have nothing to do with me. So when I call someone at 9 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, I'm calling from the real estate company to talk about your house, then I can get all different kinds of responses like, don't call me, how'd you get this number? One lady just said she was forwarding me to 911. So, you know, whatever that means. But it's an important part of the process because I have to be able to communicate with them about what they think the problem is to determine their level of motivation to see if I can help with my specific skill set. And I'll find out pretty quickly if I can help, and if I can, then I'm going to be pretty diligent in trying to get that solution in front of them, even though they're fairly resistant to it generally. And then sometimes, of course, they just say, like the guy that I'm meeting with today at 4:30 just says, well, yeah, well, that's what we were expecting from the agent that we hired, everything that you're saying. Come over at 4:30 and we'll talk about listing the house. So it's an interesting process, right? Good strong morning. We have 23 people that we talked to and set one appointment. That's pretty common, but started a little bit later this morning. Started at 9 o'clock. It is now 10:33, time for breakfast. 23 contacts. The goal was to talk to 18 people in that time, an hour and a half, and we talked to 23, so a little bit ahead of pace. Also got to talk to a few good, what I would call COI, or centers of influence, basically people that I know. We got to talk about the market. We got to talk about pricing. We got to talk about where some things are going, which is helpful stuff when I'm talking to our current clients, which I'm going to do this afternoon. So that's the morning session. Yeah, who is it? All right, come on in. Come on. What are we talking about? That's it? Let's talk about the time management, okay? One of the things that we've been discussing is in order to do anything effectively, you have to have a certain amount of time to accomplish it in. One of the things that we talked to salespeople about a lot is the fact that if you give yourself a certain amount of time to do something, you will take all of that time to accomplish the goal. So based on that, if you shorten the time, you'll still accomplish the goal. So if we're trying to be more effective, we're trying to do more, you're trying to be more effective in your role as a salesperson, talk to more people, sell more houses in this case, and just really do what people ask you to do, or do what you've told people you'll do, which is follow up on everything properly, then what you want to do is shorten that period of time. So when we get in the morning, we go through and review how long it's going to take to do everything, from the morning calls to the breakfast that we just had, to the follow-up calls that are going to happen after this video, and the exercise that needs to be done today, the reading, and some white space for anything that might show up in there, like a seller that has a question about what's going on with their house, which would take priority during that time, right? So the block, it was offered to me originally in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is a great book written by Stephen R. Covey probably 20 years ago, and it's definitely a foundational read, something you should look at. So when it was offered to me that time needed to be blocked, we needed to set a certain amount of time to do the activities, then what I tried to do is see my schedule every week in those blocks. So now what I do is this: I look at the week in advance on Sunday, and I look at every single block, whether it's going to be focused outbound phone calls or if it's going to be exercise. And I'm going to block that time, and I'm going to do my best to stick to it. What's going to happen is, over the week, I'm going to go back and I'm going to make the adjustments in the schedule to show what actually happened. So then the following Sunday, when I look back at Tuesday, which is today's Tuesday, I'm going to look at the morning and I'm going to see that I made the right amount of contacts in the block of time. Breakfast ended up being a little bit late today. I had a meeting with the team that took a little bit longer because breakfast took longer. And we're still ahead of the game because of the contacts that we made, but now we have to get back into the mid-morning schedule before I work out at 1:30, and then I'm going to track that in reverse. So the other thing that will come up about this frequently when I go through that schedule, you look at the block, is people will say, that sounds miserable. Like, it sounds terrible that you would have to be stuck on this regimented schedule, like every minute you're determining exactly what you're going to do for the whole week. You have no freedom. But exactly the opposite is what happens, because if you set that schedule and follow it and rank yourself at the end of the week on how you did and look to improve it by 1%, what you're going to find is a lot of peace in the schedule, and knowing what you're going to do to perform that week, knowing how you're going to fulfill all your obligations to the people that are in that schedule. And if I were going to coach a high-performing person, I wouldn't listen to them talk about their schedule. I wouldn't listen to them talk about their team. I wouldn't listen to their mission statement. I wouldn't look at their website. I would say, show me your calendar for the last 6 months. And I would look at their calendar and go through every week and see where they spent their time. If you tell me that you're trying to improve something, it should be there, right? Or if you tell me that you're trying to make your business better, I should see evidence in your calendar of where you took time to do that. Or if you're looking to physically get better, I should see that on your calendar, right? So if I was going to coach a high performer, or if I wanted to be a high performer, what I would have to do is look at the calendar to determine who you are, and then set the calendar out 90 days, 6 months, and a year from now to say, if I make these decisions every single day for the next 6 months or the next year, this is who I will be. So the time block is also an opportunity to make a vote each minute of each day for who you want to become. So that's the time block kind of in a nutshell, why it's done that way, why I use it every single day, and the fact that it brings me a ton of peace to know that what I'm going to do this week looks like, here's an important piece of it, it looks like the person that people pay me to be. People hire me all the time to do things like sell houses, right? And if they were to look at most people's schedule, or look at someone's schedule and say, this is the guy that I'm hiring, this is the schedule that I'm paying X amount of dollars for. When I look at that schedule, I want someone else to be able to look at it and say, that's the guy that I would hire to get something done. If that makes sense, then why wouldn't it make sense to schedule it out for the next couple weeks and just try to see what it would be like to act like the person that you want to become every single day?